considering breast cancer treatments often raise concerns and questions about life. And if you're fortunate, life as a survivor. This week on The Good Life, Deborah Williams shares her journey to conquer breast cancer on a road less traveled.
Hi, I'm Deborah Williams. I'm a medical missionary and a lifestyle educator. Cancer is a systemic disease, right? It hits the entire body. It is one cell. So picture one cell in your body. We have trillions of cells in the body, and one cell goes renegade. It just goes crazy. And that one cell replicates itself. And that one cell replicates and replicates and replicates and replicates until it becomes a tumor. That tumor now needs its own blood supply. It needs its own life support. And so that tumor now bypasses your normal system and it starts to feed itself. My journey with health and wellness started in 2012 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I started looking through carefully in terms of the history of breast cancer, where is it coming from, what causes cancer in the first place. So when I was told by my doctor that I have cancer, I knew what to do. I knew I had caused cancer. I knew I had breached my immune system, and I knew how to reverse it.
The news was devastating to say the least, but Deborah says she was comforted by the fate she had to go against the doctor's recommendations.
So I did all the tests, the diagnosis, all of the tests, the blood tests, you name it, CT scan, all of them. And it came back saying that it's cancer. Being diagnosed with breast cancer, I was told by my doctors to do chemotherapy, cut the breast off and do radiation therapy, and then to go on hormone therapy for 5 years. And so my journey in looking at the question of what is health, what is nutrition, what can be done that can reverse cancer without going through the harmful drug path and without cutting my breast off. And so I started researching nutrition. I started reading, and I also went to the Lord in prayer to ask Him what to do, because He's the creator. He made my body. And so I went into the Bible. I went also reading a book I have called Ministry of Healing by Helen G. White. It's one of my favorite books, and I use it a lot. And so the instructions were very clear in this book in terms of what to do if you're diagnosed with any lifestyle disease. So we use the acronym New Start, which is nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. These are the 8 laws of health. And so I opted to go the natural route to reverse the breast cancer.
Like many, disclosing a cancer diagnosis had many different emotions from Deborah's family and friends. They were even more appalled at her approach to the illness.
At the time, my son, because I have one child, and he was about 16 going to high school. And I remember he came home the night, because he used to board at Knox. And he came home, and I called him over and I said, honey, feel this. So I took his hand and I laid his hand over the breast. The tumor was large, it was 3.5 centimeters. You could feel it just by touching. I said, put your hand here, and he touched it. And then he pulled his hand back. I said, babes, that's breast cancer. But I wanted to put it to him in a certain way that he wouldn't crumble over it, right? Because everybody's afraid of cancer, and everybody just fall apart when they hear that you have cancer. I said, babes, we're going God's way. Not cutting off the breast, no chemo radiation. We're going to beat cancer together. And he said, yes, mommy. Now, my family, everybody broke up. Everybody fell apart. Everybody fell apart. Everybody was crying. Everybody was nervous. Everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody wanted me to do chemotherapy and radiation. And so I had to make a decision that my family, they don't understand. But because my faith is strong, I have to be strong for them. So when I started doing this natural pathway, I didn't have much support from friends. In 2006, my best friend was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, that's cancer in the bone marrow. And he did chemotherapy, he did radiation, he did all the surgery, and the cancer was there, even more aggressive. And he spent millions of dollars. That didn't help him. A friend of mine also died from stomach cancer, and she did the same thing. She did the chemo, she did all that. It didn't help her. I know so many persons who went that pathway, and it didn't help them. And so in 2012, having done the research, so I know what caused cancer. I've seen the conventional pathway with the chemo and radiation, and I've met many persons who went the natural way, right? And so when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and my doctor gave me the option to cut the breast off and chemo and radiation, I thought about it and I said, but that doesn't make any sense. The success rate from the invented chemotherapy in the 1940s is less than 3%. Now, if you're doing something for so many years and your success rate is less than 3%, that's not success. So I knew that was not the pathway I was going to take. Now, I am a Christian, and I believe in God. And I believe that what he says he means. And in the Bible, he says in Exodus 15:26, he says, I'm your healer. I am the God that healeth you. I am the God that make you. And so I went back to my God. I went back to my Creator. People say to me, boy, you're brave. I say, it's not a matter of being brave, you know. It's not just brave. It is just that I knew that the success rate of persons who have gone the natural way is great. And I know that the failure rate for persons who have done chemotherapy is high. So I chose to trust God and go the natural path. And that's what motivated me to use the natural methodology. My one friend who had multiple myeloma, he came down from Miami and he spent a week with me. And he and I did it together. So he taught me about the natural stuff that he did. We read back through the Ministry of Healing together. And then we started as a team, he and I, going through now, making the green juices and, you know, learning about how to make the vegetarian food tasty.
The Good Life will be right back. Welcome back to The Good Life. This week we are looking at Deborah Williams' story of surviving breast cancer through alternative treatments. Today she uses her experience to help others who choose to cure their ailments naturally. But what else makes her qualified to do so? She tells us.
I am a banker by profession. So I've worked with Bank of Jamaica, Citizens Bank, Workers Bank, I've gone through Scotia Bank, I've gone through the Caribbean Development Bank, I've gone through Inter-American Development Bank. I have a master's degree in finance, right? So I guess I'm a qualified banker. So where did this come from now? In 2012, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I closed my finance company, closed it. And I decided that I've got to learn about nutrition. And so I started doing online courses in nutrition, in anatomy, physiology, learning about herbs and how to properly use herbs, because listeners have got to understand that you can use herbs to your detriment too, you know. So you don't just go and just take herbs, you have to know how to use your herbs also. And so after doing a few informal courses on nutrition, I decided to step it up one notch further. So I decided to do my doctoral program. So I'm actually now completing my doctoral program in naturopathic medicine. So in a few months from now, I will be certified as a naturopathic doctor with an institution from Virginia called the International Institute of Original Medicine. So I am fully qualified as a trained nutritionist to give the advice I give to all of my clients. It was drastic. I must admit it was drastic, because when I went through again my book, Ministry of Healing, because I read the book, right, and it's very clear what to do. The steps are all laid out in this book. For example, I used to be a meat lover. I mean, I love chicken and I love my curry goat and my oxtail. I love meat. But when I did the research and realized that because they're putting so much chemical in the meat now, that it is becoming carcinogenic, so it's causing cancer. And so literally in one day, I went from being a meat lover to no meat at all. So in one day, I went straight into my kitchen, opened the freezer, threw away the fish, threw away the chicken, yeah? I threw it all away, the eggs, everything that tin in the garbage. And in one day, I went from being a meat eater to a straight, full vegetarian. So I went very drastic. I wasn't going to play with my life, and I know, why would I put something in my body that caused cancer? And I know it caused cancer. And here I am now being told I have stage 2B cancer. It's spread from the breast. It's already in the lymphatic system. Anything that goes into my mouth must promote health, not destroy my health. And that's why I went so drastic and so aggressive in saying, I'm going to change, I'm going to go cold turkey, and I'm going to change my diet and build back my immune system.
That's exactly what she did. Pretty soon, the positive changes were apparent.
The first sign I saw was weight loss. Because I tried for years to lose weight and couldn't lose weight. I mean, I went on every fat diet you can think of. I have done them all. I couldn't lose the weight. But when I changed my diet and took out the processed food and I took out the meat, I lost 40 pounds. And I lost that 40 pounds in less than 8 months. And so that was what triggered it. Then I started seeing the change in my skin and the change in my hair and just how I felt in the morning, more energy. You know, I could do more during the day. And so my first sign in terms of this is the best way to go was actually the weight loss. And then the skin and then the hair and all of that now led me to say, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm not going back there. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. 9 months after going all natural, so 9 months after going on the New Start program, I went to Miami to do a PET scan. It's a test that shows whether or not you have cancer at the cellular level. So at the time, it wasn't available in Jamaica, so I had to go to the US. So 9 months after going on the New Start program, giving up the meat, giving up the processed food, all the thin stuff, was cleaning up my diet, going full whole food, plant-based. Within 9 months, I went and got my test done, and it came back showing that I was cancer-free. So it took 9 months. No chemotherapy, no radiation. Thank God I still have my breast, didn't cut it off. And it's now 6 years and I'm cancer-free. And that's the pathway I took.
Since being cancer-free from 2013, Deborah adds that she has never gotten sick. In fact, she says she's healthier than ever. Notwithstanding her excellent results, Deborah states that people, including friends, were still reactive than proactive in regards to their health.
Now, after the results came back showing that I was cancer-free, everybody came around. Everybody came around. But what is interesting though, is that many of my friends who saw me go through because I did a lumpectomy and took the tumor out, didn't cut the breast off. Many of my friends who were scared for me and they were asking me and begging me to do chemo radiation, many of them have come down with cancer since. And that is weird. That's the hurtful part for me. Because I've seen friends, family members who scoffed, who said it was foolishness, who said that's not the way to go. I'm now seeing many of them, one by one, family and friends, coming down with cancer. Whether it's prostate cancer, whether it's breast cancer, whether it's pancreatic cancer, whether it's tumor cancer. There's just too much cancer around me. The same people who saw me going through this, they are now coming out with cancer. Now, I believe I went ahead of them to learn to help. Because now I do all her consultations, and the majority of my clients are persons who have been diagnosed with cancer, persons who have taken the breast off already, they have done chemo, they have done radiation, and the cancer has come back. So the bulk of my clients are persons who have gone through that, and the cancer has come back. And they know they're looking for another way, something outside of that. And that's how come now I am now working with hundreds of persons across the world. Because my clients are not just Jamaicans. I have clients in the US, in the UK, I have clients in Africa, I have clients across the Caribbean who have cancer or they're trying to prevent cancer. And I get an opportunity to work with them.
Though Deborah consults many sick people who are willing to try a natural approach to healing, she stresses that she is not a medical doctor and does not diagnose diseases. As such, she requires clients to work with their physicians on any existing illnesses while she educates them on the best path for optimum health through nutrition, remedial and preventative medicine. The Good Life will be right back. Welcome back to The Good Life.
We are consuming too much meat in our diet. We need about 21 grams of meat. Any average human being, right? Let's say you're about 170 pounds and you may be 5'8". About 21 grams of protein is enough. It's like one chicken leg. Look in the plate at any Jamaican. We have about 2 chicken leg and 2 chicken breasts and a wing in there. We're eating too much meat. Then we don't consume enough vegetables. So you look in the plate and you see the white rice and you see the fried chicken, dope aisle, right? So our diets have become so poor. It's nutrition deficient, right? So the first thing, when we look at what is causing so much cancer in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, we have to look back at the diet. When I was growing up, because I'm 47 now, when I was growing up, we used to eat porridge at morning time before we go to school, right? You come home, your mother makes soup for you. Look at what young people are eating now. You know, young people your age group. I mean, it's just pure junk food. Everybody gone Kentucky and Burger King and patty. Nobody's cooking anymore. And so because there's an over consumption of processed food, there's an overconsumption of junk food. Yes, you're eating, but you're eating for belly full. You're not eating for nutrients. So the carbohydrates, the healthy carbohydrates, the protein, the healthy fats, the enzymes, the phytochemicals, we're not getting the vitamins and the minerals. So what you're finding, people are eating, they're stuffing, you know. But guess what happened? The body is not being fed. So one of the main problems that we're having is the sugar and the excess meat in the diet and the processed food. That's one. The second thing is the lack of exercise. If you look at most people now, people are hardly exercising anymore. People are busy or they're just lazy. And so the exercise in the morning to exchange that carbon dioxide and get the oxygen is not being done. And so the body is building up more and more toxicity. And so the exercise, the diet, the rest, everybody's now on iPhone and iPad and this and that. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, they're chatting on WhatsApp. They're not sleeping. Your body cannot repair if you're not asleep by 10:30 making melatonin, which is a hormone in the brain that repairs the body. And so if we go through the whole acronym New Start, remember New Start? Nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. If we do an audit of those 8 components, we can see why we have so much cancer in Jamaica and in the Caribbean. But it can be reversed, and we are reversing it. It's not just cancer, it's diabetes, hypertension, obesity, HIV, AIDS, you name it, right? People are calling high cholesterol. People are sick and they're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now, if I had one advice to give my people, because I love my Jamaican people, you know, I don't want to see my Jamaican people sick. We're not supposed to be sick. This is a beautiful country and God has blessed this country with good sunshine and we have good soil and we have good food. My advice to anyone who maybe have been diagnosed with cancer or is trying to prevent it, start looking at a whole food plant-based diet. What is that? It comes from Genesis 1:29. I would advise that they start looking at more vegetables, fruits, nuts, seed, grains. And the bulk of the food, the bulk of the meal should be composed of that, right? So it should be really looking at your vegetables, your fruits, your nuts, your seeds, your grains, and your grown provisions. If we were eating like that, so in the mornings you have your fruits, right? And you have your fruits with your grains. For lunchtime you have your vegetables, and you can have your peas and beans, and you can have your grains, or you can have your grown provision. For supper, you keep it light. So you might have a fruit plate, or you can do a vegetable smoothie. But you keep it light in the evenings. So if somebody really wanted to say, I'm going to go on this health pathway, my advice, jump on to your whole food, plant-based diet. Get in your fruits, get in your vegetables, get in your grown provision, get in your grains, your seeds, and your nuts. And that will take you back on a path of filling the body with the nutrients that you need for perfect health.
With the tremendous amount of health food options in Jamaica, Deborah points out that there is no reason to be trapped in a mindset that eating healthy has to be expensive. She highlights 3 very accessible and cheap, but often overlooked food options to consider.
Tomatoes are very high in lycopene. It's very good for men with the prostate. It's very good for us overall. You can make a tomato juice or just cook with the tomatoes or eat it raw, right? That's one. The second one is the breadfruit. Breadfruit grow well in Jamaica. Breadfruit is a good healthy starch and it's a very good filling food. It's very high in fiber. So I would say stop walking past the breadfruit and go buy white rice. White rice now have the nutritional value in there. White flour is dead food, but the breadfruit is rich in the minerals and the vitamins, and it's very high in fiber. The third one would be sweet potato. We're overlooking the health benefits of sweet potato. Sweet potato is very, very high in minerals and vitamins. It's an excellent food for your eyes and for your skin because it's high in vitamin A. So sweet potato, I bake it, I boil it, I roast it. I tell you, it's one of the food that I would tell more Jamaicans use the sweet potato. You can make your sweet potato pudding. You can make your muffins with it. You can do so many things with your sweet potato. So that would be my top three. It would be the sweet potato, the breadfruit, and the tomatoes. Those three. I've also written my books. So I have a recipe book that I've written to teach the persons I'm working with how to do healthy, nutritious vegetarian dishes. So this is book 2. I have a book 1. I also have a book I've written about how I overcame breast cancer using God's 8 laws of health, and the book Ministry of Healing. And most importantly, we're not leaving it out, the Bible. This is our mandate. This tells us how to be healthy, spiritually and physically. So when I combine all of this, cancer cannot touch me anymore. I'm done with cancer.
And that's it for The Good Life this week. I hope you were inspired. I'm your host, Amita Prasad Webb.